Hello, this is the Everything in 30 podcast with Joshua Duran and
Thomas Sykes. Welcome back.
Welcome back, Thomas.
Oh,
Welcome back.
Josh, has the world changed?
Yeah. And just so you guys know, if there's any audio difficulties or anything during this podcast, there's currently a big storm going on outside. Like actually, it's pretty windy and like there's a lot of rain and yeah. Just a little disclaimer.
What is it? Because I'm currently recording all this on my phone, so you know this audio is going to be so terrible. How about you, Josh? I'm gonna take a wild guess and say you're recording on the phone.
I mean, I am on the phone call, but I have my headphones on with the mic on them.
Yeah.
We need to get a professional mic or something. We need to do something.
What is it? Episode 52 of the podcast. Look, guys, we got real mics.
Now, another disclaimer: this episode is gonna be a little bit more serious than our usual ones. Our usual episodes are more comedic and just regular conversation. This episode is going to be a little bit more serious tone because we're going to be talking about the protest and yeah, it's just going to have a little bit more serious tone this episode.
We're going to talk about some touchy subjects. We're going to give opinions. So, what is it? So if you do get angry at our opinions, well then we don't care. It's our opinions.
Yeah, just remember, we're just giving our opinions, so don't take everything we're saying as fact. Always make sure you do your own research, but this is just our experience and our thoughts on the matter.
Our thoughts. Yeah. That's nice. I'm pretty sure, like, what is it? I'm pretty sure people are like, oh, what's the president saying about this? It's like, oh, I don't even... See, I've lost my mind so much in this quarantine, I don't even know what I was going with. I was going to say something about the president, be like, oh, no one wants to hear what the president has to say, except unless it's going to help them. I don't know what I was aiming for.
Well,
I really don't. What is it?
About the protest and stuff like that, I already know my opinion and stuff, but I want to hear yours first, Thomas. What do you think about it?
My opinion on the protest.
Just about the whole situation.
What is it? I believe that it was wrong, the killing of George Floyd. I think that was truly wrong. I think the officer that did that, he should be immediately fired. I don't even think there should have been a hesitation. He should have been fired, thrown out, and sent either right to prison on murder charges. Like, do I believe, and what is it? I don't believe that there should be a death penalty right there, but I believe that he should have been thrown in prison immediately. I think
what
that
do you think about the
I think that should be like
officers.
I think that should have been a life sentence right there, because the way he treated another human being in that role. But I also think that the other officers that were there, you know what? I just say, do I think they should be thrown in prison? Yes, but no. Again, I'm not really sure with them. Because what is it? My view is unless they did something to actively hurt Floyd. Like, I get they were doing this. I get they were standing by and stuff like that. But like they didn't like actively like hit him or anything. I believe that they should be thrown in prison for like maybe a couple months or for a year or two, but I don't think it should be as big of a crime as it was for the main officer.
Well, my thing is to add to your point, I was looking on social media and people were saying there's a second angle where they were like kneeling on his legs too. I'm not really sure about that. Don't take that for a fact. But my thing is that there was like 3 other officers, right? Now, I don't think they should get the life sentence because they didn't kill him. But I do think that their officers, they did a test to become an officer. And to be an officer means that you're protecting the people, right? The people employ you so that you protect them, right? And if you're sitting there letting your fellow officer kill someone, and you know he's killing them. Like, it's not like maybe he's a little injured or something. Like, he's literally kneeling on his neck.
hmm
Like
And
if
I think
you
that's
kneel on
the
somebody's
worst
neck,
part about it.
you know they're gonna die.
He's what is it? He is killing a human being. And but I just say that's why I am all for these protests. I am like, you know what? Good. I'm happy that people are showing these protests. Like I am
Yeah,
all
and this
for all these
protest,
movements. I'm happy for them. I'm happy
this is
that
like
people
the
are
first time.
showing
This is like the first time in
what?
all 50 states that every state is like doing something together. I mean, together, right? Every one of
Yeah.
America's state is protesting. Every single one.
hmm
I think
I feel
I
like
think
what
even
is
in
it?
other countries they are too. I'm
I
not sure,
think,
but I
yeah,
think
they
they are.
are. What is it? I know I saw like a thing from Ireland that people are protesting for like the are doing for the Black Lives Matter movement, which I could say, what is it? I could say like I'm. You see, I'm one of those people where I'll never understand what the struggles that it is to be a black person, but I have to say that I hope that it gets better, and I truly do, and I would do anything in my power to help. I'm not
Yeah,
saying that I'm gonna be like that. I don't want to join in any protest because I don't. I'm just one of those people where I don't want my name associated with any sort of protesting, good or bad, because I just so I think I just it's more of me fearing that something's gonna go wrong.
yeah.
And
I get your standpoint on that. That you're like scared if you protest. You're scared that someone won't let you do something or something in the future. But
yeah,
also like if you want change, you have to do something. Like
exactly.
anytime
I
there was change
I
in the country,
firmly
somebody had to
believe in
risk
mailing.
something.
What is it? I firmly believe in mailing into a congressman. I truly believe that. I'm like people. I'm like flood the websites, flood the government websites, send them emails to get them to notice. I'm like that's how
Well,
you get change. You protest and you send letters in. You send in letters, you send in emails. You call the office.
my stance on
Like
the
that's how you
protest,
do it.
and everything that's going on, I'm of course fully behind the protest. I'm fully
hmm
behind people protesting and holding up the signs and everything like that. Right? And like the only problem I have with what's going on right now is that the media is showing like one side of the protest. Because if you actually, some of the media channels shows everything, right? They show like the 24-hour live stream, but if you actually watch it, it's a very peaceful protest. But then you have
hmm
the opportunists and the people who just want like anarchy coming in. Right? It's always two different groups. It's always the main group who's being peaceful, and then the secondary groups comes in and try to start a riot. All right? The
Exactly.
riots the riots is a whole different issue because even the police know it's not everybody who's contributing to the riots. Like on social media, you're seeing so much videos of people trying to stop people from vandalizing buildings and stuff like that, and like there's people and there's like random brick piles around the place, and it doesn't make any sense, right? The media is just portraying, oh, these are the riots going on, yada yada. And now it's getting
Mhm.
a little bit better because they're showing the peaceful demonstrations. Because it was mostly peaceful. There's no way in every single state there's a riot. All right? Every
Exactly.
single state there's
Yeah.
protests.
hmm
And of course, there's going to be the few people that are like, oh, there's a big protest right here. So if I go out there and try to steal these designer shoes, then they can't catch me. Well, I'm going to
No,
give
and
them a
that's what
news
I'm
flash.
truly angry
I'm,
about.
yeah, I'm going to give them a news flash though. If you're out there rioting, you're stealing from people. What like there's no way that after all this is done, they're not gonna look back on the camera and find you. They're gonna find what car you left in, how you came in. They're gonna find you either way. And like the people robbing like technology stores, you actually think they can't trace those phones? It's so easy for them to trace those phones. Don't
I
be
am
stupid.
so what is it? I am so angry the amount of people that are using these protests and are going out and
That's the
causing these
opportunity. Yeah.
riots. That what is it? I was watching. I hate to say this. I was watching a thing from Fox News, and they actually said something that I was impressed that they would say. Because they bashed the president, they were bashing congressmen. I was like, this is actually really cool. Because they're showing, they're like, these riots are causing pain for other people. And they were showing clips of people beating of these rioters beating store
Yeah,
owners to a bloody pulp. Like, no matter if they were black or white or whatever race or sex they were beating them. They were stealing their wallets. They were stealing everything. They were burning down their stores. I was like, are you
yeah,
kidding me? They
yeah.
were
And
they
those
were
are,
beating reporters, and
but
I'm like, are
my
you
thing is
kidding?
that
This is yeah,
that's like a small percentage of the protesters who like burning down stores and stuff. Like, of course, that's not right. No one endorses that. And like, if you go to one of these protests and someone sees somebody else trying to break into a store or something, the protesters are going to try to stop them. There's numerous videos online of protesters trying to stop the rioters. All right, the rioters are a small percentage, but I feel like
exactly.
the reason why this protest is getting so big and big is number one, because I don't really like to get into politics and stuff, but our president isn't really doing a good job at handling the situation.
And you know
And
what?
number
He's not.
two,
Wait, wait. Oh, sorry.
oh, no,
That's my bad.
you can say.
What is it? I find that the president of the United States he's bottling up and he's hiding. He's not doing anything to stop these riots. He truly isn't. I think was it the most he did, and I was impressed by this. I don't know if you are, but he goes, if these riots don't stop, he goes, I'm sending in the military. He goes,
I don't think I
I'm
don't
going to
like
send
that.
the
I don't
military.
know.
What the riot? I'm just saying, if the riots are going to get worse, I would rather someone step in, like whether it be the National Guard or the military, step in, break up the riots. Like, I am
But
fine with
my
the
thing,
peaceful protest. What I'm afraid of is in that situation is that if they do send in the military or the National Guard, they're going to confuse the rioters and the peaceful protesters, and I feel like something bad is going to happen there. But I just think that someone needs to stop these rioters,
yeah,
and
I get
that's
what
what I
you're
hate to say.
saying. I get what you're saying, but what I'm going to try to say is that um, for anybody who's been following the protests and everything for the last 7 days or 8 days now, for me, what I've noticed is that it was a bunch of rioters in the beginning. But then when the protesters stood up and say, no, don't do this, and all the celebrities and all the influential people online said, listen, guys, protest, do not riot, there's been way less riots, all right? And when Trump
Mhm.
said this, I think he said this yesterday, I didn't see it as, oh, he's trying to stop the rioters. Because I'm going to be honest, you look at all the news footage now, there's barely any riots. It's more towards the night where you see the riots and stuff like that. But when it's during the day, everybody's completely fine. It's a peaceful protest, right? When he said that, I just saw him saying that he's basically going to bully the people. Because in Washington, D.C., to get that photo, he had the police officers or whoever were there, he had them spray them with pepper spray and do the gas. What's that gas called? Whatever that gas, they threw the gas at them and they pushed them back and stuff. Like, that makes no sense. I think
Exactly. I agree.
that was my second reason, is that the reason why these protests are getting bigger is not only because people are angry and fed up with what's happening, it's also because of when they're protesting, they're seeing how they're being treated. These people are protesting and the police officers are spraying them and throwing crap at them. There's videos online of an old man just standing outside and the police officer pushed him down. And then the police officer said, oh crap, I'm sorry, and he tried to help him up. The man had a cane in his hand and he pushed him down. That makes no sense at all. There's another video online. This couple was driving down the road in the car. The police goes in front of them, pulls them out of the car, and sprays them with pepper spray. That makes no sense. Like,
I
there's
think
so much injustices happening during this protest that makes the protest get bigger.
And what I'm more angry about is not just what is it? I'm just trying to say this as lightly as I possibly can. There's two things I'm just angry about with this entire thing. I think that first thing I want to say is that I think we have to realize that though we are seeing terrible actions by police, not all police are terrible people. I want
Yeah,
to
of
throw that
course
out
not.
there. And I think
There's,
that what is it? And I think that people might get a little angry at me saying something like this, but we have to realize that not every police officer is a terrible person. Remember, I this is how I used to compare it, and I was explaining this to my dad today, and I think that it's such a really good point that when 9/11 happened, people when we had Islamic people, Muslims, attack the World Trade Center. But just because those people did it doesn't mean that all Muslims are like that. Quite the opposite.
Yeah, I get it. I get your analogy.
And I feel like that's the same thing with the police officers. It's like, sure, you see some of these police officers doing it, but not every police officer everywhere is a terrible person. I just want people to realize that before people start like saying it's like, oh, like people start doing something that they may regret.
Yeah, I get your analogy, but like, I mean, I understand what you're saying. And there's a lot of videos online of police officers taking a kneel for what happened, and there's videos online of the governors and the police chiefs going out there with the protesters to protest. And I find that great. I feel like one of the big things with protesting, I don't think we're protesting like the idea of police officers, right? To me, I feel like we're protesting the amount of power they have. But it doesn't make any sense that a police officer can kill someone. And like and there's videos of these killings, right? And I'm not even just talking about this one. Like in the past, there's been videos of killings of black men and stuff, and the police officers get off, like, oh, you're just fired, that's it. There's no way that if a citizen did that, they would just be like, oh, you don't have a job or something, and that's it. They'll go to jail for life. I think what we're protesting is that it's the amount of power the police have, right? And I would just like to say, there's a lot of people online who, I mean, like the main reason why we're protesting is like racism and stuff like that. And I don't really want to dive that far into that topic because it can be a touchy subject. But if you want to talk about racism, mainly racism stems from like a psychological point these days, right? Back in the day, like in the 1900s to like the 2000s, it was just bold. You know, people were going out there doing whatever they want to, black people, Hispanic people, whatever, right? And now, what we have today, it's not the type of racism you've seen like for the last 20 years. It's more of a psychological type of racism. So like someone can say, I'm not racist, but their actions don't prove that, right? Like
exactly.
I'm gonna be honest. You can. I'm not you, but I'm saying someone can say they're not racist, and they can actually believe that they're not racist. But if their parents raised them in a way to think that, oh, I'm superior to that person, they might not think that's racist, but that's what they're thinking in a subconscious level. Right? It's all psychological stuff.
I was listening to Neil deGrasse Tyson. He was talking about he was talking with a psychologist about I think it was the human brain. And what they were saying is that a human, what they will do is they can never say that they are a bad person or they are doing the wrong thing. What they do is people will try to find a way to justify that reason. So like when someone does a horrible thing, they find a way to justify that reason. So that would be a way to like explain your thing even further.
Yeah, I'm just trying to say, like, a lot of people are programmed from, and it's not even anybody's really fault, because, like, there's a lot of people that it's programmed into you to think that someone's superior to someone else. Like I've been told before, that someone thinks they're superior because of their race or something. Makes no sense to me. We're all equal, we're all the same, right? But someone can legitimately think that they're not racist when they are, you know? There's so much systematic things that happen in our government and system. Like more black people go to jail for like small things than white people, and it's just a lot of stuff that's been coming throughout history, right? And we have to change it. Like we have to change everything that's happening. It's a systematic thing. It's systematic racism. That's really what it is.
What is it? You know what I think that we should do? I think that everyone should do this just so that we can get like. We want true equality. You know what I think we should do? Like, and this is the second thing I was going to point out that I think that we should be doing. We should start. There should be an all lives matter movement. because and I think that's what like there's so many different movements supporting different whether it be supporting women or um or the African American community or whatever the community or the Chinese community. There's so many different movements. There should be just one movement for all lives matter to show that everyone equally matters. No one is superior, but no one is less of a human. And I feel
Yeah,
like that would be such a cool thing because I think it would inspire people to like what is it to get rid of social because then there would be I feel like there would like get rid of social injustice because if we're saying all lives matter then then it's not about who you are, it's about treating everyone with respect. I guess that's what I'm going for.
yeah, I get what you're saying, but number one, this already is an all lives matter movement, and that's
There is? I had no
yeah,
idea.
yeah. So this is what it is, right? So originally, you know how like I think it was like some whatever amount of time it was, the Black Lives Matter movement started, right? A
Yeah.
little bit after that, someone created the All Lives Matter movement, and I really, if I had to choose between one, I'm gonna be honest, I would choose the Black Lives Matter movement, and it's not me saying that not everybody's equal. That's not what I'm trying to say. It's number one, the reason why I would choose the Black Lives Matter movement is because for me, I think the All Lives Matter movement is basically like a protest to our protest. You know, how is someone going to create a Black Lives Matter movement, and just because someone created a Black Lives Matter movement, you're going to create an All Lives Matter movement? You know,
You know
it's
what?
like a protest to another protest,
Exactly.
and also the reason why the Black Lives Matter movement started was not to say that you're not equal to me. What it was to say like, oh, like it's saying like our race is doing catch up, you know, like like white people or like people of European descent have all these rights and liberties, but black people have to like get there. You know, we have to fight for our rights to get to where you guys are. I'm not trying to say like you
Yes.
guys have like this enormous amount of privilege or anything like that, but
No,
I'm
no,
just
no, no.
saying that
I understand, and I agree
I'm
with
just
you.
saying that there's this common quote that goes around when you're talking about all lives matter versus black lives matter, and it's like if you're going down the avenue, right, and there's one house on fire, it's like of course all these houses matter, but the one that matters most right now is the house that's on fire because that one's gonna burn down. Like you get what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
although of course all lives matter, but we're talking about black lives right now because they're the ones getting needlessly killed and killed for no reason, right?
You know what? And I agree with that. I think that what is it? We have. I think our country was just we have this root with just slavery and all that stuff. So I think that we should not be doing just this racism. But what is it? I also think that what is it? I understand. What is it? I apologize if I made you think that I was that by all lives matter. I'm thinking of it as like
No, I get what
as like
I
we're
get what you're
demean
saying.
as like I'm trying to demean the Black Lives Matter movement. On the contrary, I think it would. I think that but the idea of all lives matter in my head would be just a way to empower every single group, make them. I just think that it would be a way to have everyone come
You mean
together.
like a unified group, you know, like a
Yeah,
unified
like
protest for
I don't know,
everybody.
like a human rights movement or something like that.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. I was just telling you what happened, like, cause the All Lives Matter movement that stuff already started, and like, and maybe if it did start at a different time, it would mean something else. But like, that's to me that's like the meaning of that movement.
Yeah,
But I do want to talk about. Oh,
what is it?
you can talk.
Before we go and talk about something else for a moment, I just wanted to address was I was going to say that I think that what is it? I think we all just need to come together now. I think this is just a point where we need to come together. We need to stop. I think we need to all just come together and fight for the one thing that we can truly all agree on, and that is equality and justice.
Yeah,
Because right now there is no justice going on, and we need to just stop. We need to stop this bickering between us. We need to, we have to go into I think the people have to take back the country that we need. I'm not saying like start a riot at the Capitol. On the contrary, I think we should have more people running for public office, become mayor, become governor,
Yeah.
get into the Senate, join, I don't know,
Yeah,
become
do
a
the
senator,
local elections.
become president, because that's what
Yeah,
we
become
need. We need people that don't fold into these things. We need people to stand up and fight for what is right and what should have been right from the very beginning. So,
yeah.
like you were saying, Josh.
I wanted to address one thing that I've seen going around on social media and like Instagram and stuff like that, trying to. Alright, and this is basically the gist of what it says. I got one tweet here from this one person. I'm not gonna say the dude's name, but here's the tweet. It says, "For every 10,000 black people arrested for violent crimes, 3 are killed. For every 10,000 white people arrested for violent crime, 4 are killed. I'm going to keep treating this until someone can explain to me how this is possible, and there is truly pervasive racial bias in policing. I'm sorry." All right.
Oh, wow.
So I just wanted, because I've been seeing that going around on social media a lot, actually. So I just want to talk about this. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Number one, before I even get to what this tweet is about, if you're treating something like this during a protest, and you generally may be curious, but you really just don't want that protest to continue, because you're just trying to be a hindrance to what they're trying to say. There's no reason why a unified protest, it's not even just black people out here protesting. It's white people, it's Chinese people, Hispanic people, everybody's outside protesting. So what is the reason for you to treat this now? You're going to treat this a couple months ago. What is the reason for you to say this now? You're just trying to be a hindrance to the protest. But let me continue with what I'm saying. All right?
Mm-hmm.
Black people are a minority. All right? White people are the majority. If black people are even dying close to how much white people die, that's showing that why is the minority dying just as much as the majority dying? And in the end, you should be asking, why is anybody dying? But like just in this aspect, why is the minority dying as much as the majority? I think the statistics is like black people make up around like 10% and white people around 50 to 60%. So there's like a 40% difference there. Why are they dying just as much as white people? All right?
Mm-hmm.
And second, the reason why these protests are going on, it's not because of like violent crimes, like someone just robbed a store or killed somebody. What these people who were killed, like people like George Floyd or Ahmaud Arbery, they were not doing anything violent. Like they were literally doing, even if they did like steal a pack of cigarettes or something, I'm not sure if they did or not. I know Ahmaud Arbery was just jogging, but I'm not sure if any of them had a criminal record or not. It doesn't matter. They were not doing anything violent. The reason why we're protesting these incidents and stuff like this is that with every one of these situations, these people were not being violent. They were not attacking the cops. They did not come outside with a gun on their hip. They did not do anything to warrant their death. That's why we're protesting this stuff. So this tweet is like it's the reason why. The reason why like this tweet gets me like kind of fed up, because we're not talking about people who are coming outside with guns or who just murdered somebody. We're talking about people who literally just went outside to jog. You know, people who weren't even resisting police and they're still dying. That makes no sense at all. That's why I don't like when people tweet out this stuff, especially during this protest, because you're just being a hindrance to what we're trying to say, right? And like
exactly.
And the reason why like I'm talking so like passionately about this, like I don't know if well, Thomas is, what are you're I'm just gonna say you're right, because you're like what, Irish, Canadian, right?
I'm like Irish, Canadian, Russian. Like if you could like think of just every country that like where like a white person may exist, and I'm pretty much like there.
Well, I haven't done like a blood test or anything, but my dad's Puerto Rican and my mom's black. So I'm like half and half. You know, sometimes people come up to me like, "Oh, are you Puerto Rican?" Sometimes people come up to me like, "Oh, are you black?" Like I fully accept both sides, so I don't really care. But I want to talk about like, I want to talk about some of my experiences, right?
What is
So,
it, Josh? Josh, we don't really have that kind of time. We're almost up. We just hit the 30-minute mark.
oh snap!
Josh is talking so passionately. He's just like, that's it. Let's go.
Snap! We hit the 30-minute
Josh,
mark.
this should
Dang.
have happened last week, and I would have. Josh, if we weren't on the free plan, I'd let you go on a little bit more, but we gotta wrap this thing up.
Yes.
I
Okay.
apologize, Josh. I know you were about to go into your whole experience.
Yeah.
But
Well,
what is it?
let's
So,
let's just give our final statements.
you want to wrap it up?
Well, I don't know. Let's
Our
just give a final statement.
statement.
Yeah. You give yours first.
What is it? I think it's end soon. I hope that we can go back to normalcy as soon as possible. That's all I'm hoping. And I hope that I hope that George Floyd and his family receive the proper justice.
And my final
And
statement
when I
is
say
just
proper justice, I mean like the guys get the police officers get thrown in jail. That's what I meant by
Yeah.
justice.
my final statement is just that even if you can't go out there and protest, just stay with this message in your mind to continue to be equal and continue to be fair. Well, no matter what you're doing, you're helping out if you're standing up for other races and other people. Even if you're black, stand up for everybody. Stand up for white people if they're going through an injustice. But stand up for whoever you can, and just always keep that message in your mind. If you keep that message in your mind, then you're doing enough. Like, I understand if you can't go out there and protest. I can't go out there and protest. I'm like 16. I'm not even near one of them. But if you can't do that, then just make sure you carry this message in your mind throughout your life to be equal and be fair to everyone, no matter what they are or who they are.
Yeah. What is it? So that's the podcast, everyone. Thank you guys for listening. Sorry, Josh. Thank you. That was pretty good.
That's
What
pretty
is
good,
it?
yeah.
Remember, follow us on Twitter at everything30. Follow us. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Keep watching the podcast. Keep listening. I was supposed to do. I don't know. Watch. And we will see you all next time for episode 5. Oh, and just so everyone knows,
the live stream.
yeah, we're gonna be doing a live stream for episode 5. I don't know when I don't have a date yet, so listen to episode 5, and we'll tell you guys about when the live stream will be, what day and what time. So we'll see you guys then. So see you guys next week for another episode of the podcast. Peace.